Sheet music. It is just a challenge. The whole idea that all of these dots connected by lines somehow make up music, and if you get enough people playing enough different types of sheet music, you end up with an orchestra playing a film theme. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's daunting to think that we're actually going to start from nothing, absolute zero, and go on to be able to read those film scores that those orchestras play. So today we're starting from the bottom of the mountain. We're going to work our way up. It's music theory number 1, how to read a score. And if you need some extra material to help you along the way, I've provided an article on my website at robharveymusic.com. Okay, so here's a piece that I wrote. You can find closer up images on the website if that's going to help you. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to work through this piece of music and show you what all this coded information really means. So first things first, we've got the title. It's not particularly inspiring, but you know, there we are. And you've got the name of a composer. In this case, it just happens to be me. Sometimes you'd have the arranger, the orchestrator. If you had multiple songwriters, they'd be there as well. It's sort of a standard layout to have the title at the top center and the composer at the right. On the left, we've got a note followed by an equal sign, followed by the number 95. This is the tempo for the piece. What does tempo mean? It means the speed in which the piece is being played at. So the 95 represents how many beats there are in every minute of this piece. Now, don't go and think that beats mean notes. They do not. Beats are just the underlying regular timing that's going on that the notes then adhere to. So moving on from there, we've got a bracket that contains 2 sets of 5 lines. Each set of 5 lines is referred to as the stave. On the stave, we have a squiggly line that seems to fold back on itself called the treble clef, and below that we have got the bass clef. Now what do these mean? These tell you a certain way of reading the notes. You don't read the notes in the same way on this stave compared to this stave. And the bracket just means that we're going to be reading both staves at the same time as we're going along if we're just looking at this section up here. Just after the clefs, we've got a couple of hashtags. These represent the key signature for the entire piece. What's the key signature, you may ask? Well, it's basically a set of rules that continue throughout the piece, meaning that certain notes have sharps, certain notes have flats. If you don't know what those are, we're getting to those in a later episode, I promise. Following that, we've got 4/4. 4/4 is the time signature of the piece. So we've just had the key signature, now we've got the time signature. 4/4 means that we've got 4 beats in every single bar. And the top number represents how many of a particular type of beat, and the bottom number represents what type of beat that is. And in this case, the beat is one of those. So a crotchet times 4 every bar. You may have noticed that along the top we've got some letters. These represent chords. Now for most people playing piano, it's not particularly relevant unless you're looking to compose and write music. Each of these represents a different combination of notes, and a chord is 2 or more notes played together. So for example, if you had a guitarist alongside you, they could play the chords while you play the piano part, and it should work out quite well. You could even get a bass player and he could be playing the root note of each of these. I'll get into what root notes are in future episodes. And the whole thing can become a much bigger production just from including those chords and putting those into your music later on. So as you can see, we've got some notes. In between these notes, we've got some vertical lines that are splitting up the staves. These represent the bars. So you've got a bar there, a bar there, bar there, and so on until we have 8 bars in a single line. Very important point here. The width of the bars does not translate to the speed in which you play them at. So just because these bars are slightly wider than these bars doesn't mean that we play these any slower or any faster. They are all exactly equal, denoted by the tempo that is up here. So that's actually just line 1 sorted out. Line 2, it's the same deal. We've got the chords at the top, we've got treble clef, we've got bass clef, we've got a bracket connecting the 2. The only difference is within this line is the number at the top. This tells you what bar number we're at. So if we've had 8 over here, we're now onto bar 9. Next line, we are now onto bar 13. That's the only change that we've really got going on. Still, we've got the same notes. In fact, we've got the same chords. That's just a coincidence in this case. And we've still got those 2 hashtags representing sharps for the key signature. And finally, we get to the last line. Nothing has changed here apart from the bar number. And this bold line at the end. I'm sure you can hazard a guess what that means. It means that you're finished and the piece is over. You might be wondering, well, why don't they just have a normal line like anything else? Surely you know the piece is over by the time you got to the end of the piece. Well, you can have pieces with multiple pages, and if suddenly you've got to something that looks like that, you might start looking for those extra pages even if they don't exist. So you need that bold double bar line to finish it all off. To summarize, we had the title, we had the composer, the tempo, which is 95 beats in a minute, and beats are not notes. We've got the treble clef and a bass clef connected by a bracket, which is holding 2 sets of 5 lines, otherwise known as staves. We have the key signature after that, followed by the time signature. These are the basic rules for the entire piece. Above the lines, we've got the chords. These allow somebody like a guitarist to accompany you as you're going along, and this is particularly useful for songwriting later when we get there. Next, we've got the notes, which are split up by these vertical lines which represent the number of bars. When you get to line 2, you can see that we actually have the number of bars written down. It doesn't always happen like that, but it's very useful when pieces of music do. Very useful for practicing rapidly. And then we get through the whole piece of music until we get the double bar line, which represents the end of the piece. It's kind of mind-boggling to think that there's so much information just held within so few lines of music from so few symbols as well. The more pieces you play and the more pieces you read, the quicker and the faster you'll get at it until it's literally second nature, like reading a book. And I'll probably say that quite a lot throughout these videos. So if you want to find out any more information, please visit my website, robharveymusic.com, and you'll be able to find some additional information along with some close-up shots of the music that I just went through for your own reading. If you enjoyed this video, please like. If you have any thoughts about this video, whether it's good or bad, please put a comment below. And in any case, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.